back on Don't Watch This. So if you're hearing me say that, you're in violation of the rules of the program because you're not supposed to be watching this. We do not want you watching
Told
this.
you the last time.
We're going to just, we told you. We're just going to wait while you turn it off.
This is just so we can watch ourselves.
All right, so they probably shut us off by now, so we can go on. We're talking about Christianity, and let me play devil's advocate here. Let me play the role of the guy who says this. You know, I'm not involved in Christianity. I'm not interested in Christianity because this is just another system of rules and regulations whereby I try to earn my way into heaven, or I try to please this God of your making, somebody's making. It's not really transformational. It's just a club. It's an organization I join. What's the difference if I become Roman Catholic or Methodist or a Baptist or a Buddhist, or a Taoist, or I believe in Islam, or I follow the Hinduism? What does it matter? Everybody, those are all just sort of stretchers and crutches for people who can't make it in the world. And plus, I know a lot of bad things about Christianity. Christians hurt people. Christians have done bad things in the world. We've talked a little bit about that. But tell me, what is real Christianity versus the majority of Americans' perception of Christianity today? What do you think the average American is thinking when they think of Christianity? What is that? And then what is real Christianity?
Well, before we get to that, there's something I think that we need to discuss. It's like you mentioned a whole bunch of different sort of philosophies, world religions, different things. So how do I sift through all of that?
Right.
All right. Jesus Christ was a very, very unique and profound individual. I'm hoping that, this show will be able to go on, we'll be able to go through, embody, all of the things that Jesus did and said. But for right now, for the purposes that we're serving, this is the way I like to think about it, okay? Jesus was not just some teacher, right, that came down the pipe, some moral teacher. There is a big difference, okay, between saying that you are enlightened, so to speak, like one of these other, maybe
gurus.
Eastern teachers would say that they've reached some level of consciousness. Jesus did not need to be enlightened. He was the light. He said, I am the light, right? Huge difference. Then when you get to, start to really unravel this thing and look at it, the most profound question as I speak to people, and if you're watching this show right now, which you shouldn't be, but if you are, you know what I mean? The most profound question that you're ever going to answer in your entire life is the same question that Jesus asked Peter. And he said, Peter, who am I? There is a profundity in that portion of scripture that has had me at times, my head just reeling. Because if you remember what Peter said was, well, Lord, some people say this and some people say that, and right away the Lord cut him off, And this is what the world is. You get a little piece from here, a little piece from there, and I was watching the Discovery Channel the other night, and they said this, and then some guy at work would said that. But Jesus eliminated all of those possibilities, went right to Peter and said, who do you say I am?
Right.
And I think one way or the other, that is the question that every human being that's lived on this planet from the time that God has put the human race here until the time he chooses to come back, that is the question, whether you deal with it by default, by not answering, a non-answer is an answer.
Right.
But that is when you look at the vast body, George, you said you went through all of these, permutations in your travels and stuff like that, and finally came upon the Lord. But this is the thing that I always thought about. Like he made a very profound statement, in many, many different ways by saying that I am God in the flesh. Okay, now with all due respect to Thomas Jefferson and saying, well, he's a moral teacher and everything like that, Jesus never left us that option.
No.
He never left that. He never left that open to us. You know, you don't get to pick and choose and say, well, I thought he was, I thought he was a real cool teacher, but like all the other stuff that he said, like I don't know about that. So really, the first place that I ever heard it espoused was in the Josh McDowell book, More Than a Carpenter, which is, if you're curious, is a great little read. It's a very short book. You could probably go through it in a day or so. But he
Do people read anymore?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to.
So don't read it, and you're not going to get the chance to read it because you shouldn't be watching this in the first place. But if you did, he breaks it down brilliantly into 3 possibilities. I use this all the time when I'm talking to people. I know that you know what they are, but for the sake of somebody that might be watching and never heard this before, there's only 3 possibilities. He was either the Lord, he was either a complete lunatic, a complete raving madman, or he was an absolute liar, okay? So, and in the book, I don't want to go into it right now for the sake, but if you really go, I mean, he breaks down each one of them beautifully and eliminates the possibilities. And isn't that what what do they call in that movie Contact again, right? Was that Axum's razor or some weird thing that they were talking about?
I never saw the movie.
Okay, but essentially what
I will now.
There's I guess this is some sort of, might have been named after some scientist, but a theory that basically says once you eliminate everything else, what you're left with is the truth.
And if Jesus was, let's just look at that for a second, if he was a stark raving mad lunatic, then that rules out the possibility that he was a good moral teacher.
Yeah. Right.
And if he was a liar, that rules out the possibility that he was good.
Right.
And so what are you left with in the end? I don't want to do, if Jesus is a lunatic, I don't want anything to do with him.
No.
So I'm not going to pay attention to that. You can't say, well, I like the golden rule. And I like the thing Jesus said about, not committing adultery. I like that part. And I like this part and that part. But this and that, and the thing he said about heaven, the stuff he said about hell, and the stuff he said about money, and the stuff he said about him being the only way. Jesus said, he made statements of exclusivity. He said things like, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life, meaning no one else is.
Right. That's the stuff that starts to rub people the wrong way.
Right, because they say, how arrogant, how exclusive. Right, Jesus said the road to life is narrow and few find it. But the road to destruction is broad.
But if he's true, and that's one of the possibilities, that he was God, okay, then, it would be perfectly natural for him to say, this is it. This is the way I
Absolutely. And what's wrong with this being it? If I have 10 keys on my key ring, and I say, one of these keys opens the door to my house, no matter how badly you want the other 9 keys to open that door,
Right.
they won't.
That's
One
right.
starts my car, one opens my garage. The other ones are all the wrong keys. As much as we may want to say, but I feel sorry for the other 9 keys. They all want to open the door to your house. Let's just say they all do. What's wrong? Here's my question. What's wrong with the only being one key? There's nothing wrong with it. There's everything right with it. If there are 1,000 religions out there and they contradict one another, which they all do,
Right.
you can't put.
I'm sorry. And this is what I don't get, because people get so angry. When you say that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, the only way to the Father is but through me. And that means you have to make a decision. What are you going to do with Jesus? They get angry at you for saying it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. First of all, I didn't say it. Jesus said it.
Right.
It's in the Bible. He said it. You can go back to the manuscripts from 100 years after he was crucified. It's not like we don't have, because they say, oh, that was written 400, 500 years later. No, it wasn't. We have manuscripts from 100 AD.
That's right.
So we have these things from when witnesses were still alive. So just take that line.
That argument is moot at this point.
Right. Yeah. Take that line, throw it out, because it's not true. But Jesus said that. Now, when I have friends that are all New Agey, and they believe in the harmonic convergence. Now, basically, the harmonic
The
convergence.
harmonica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So-
play
The harmonic convergence, if you believe in that, the Earth in this age of Aquarius thing is just going to purge itself of all the like bad people, which basically means the Christians, because we're holding back what's supposed to be happening for the Earth's enlightenment because of our narrow-mindedness.
Okay.
So they think that we're holding everything back, and that, you know, the Mother Earth is going to purge herself of us, and we shouldn't be offended by that.
No.
Okay? But when we say, look, man, the only way to heaven is but through Jesus, and they go, ah, you mean I'm going to hell?
Yeah.
They go, well, look, if you don't accept Jesus, that's what Jesus says. They go, how can you judge me like that? You're so cruel.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. You think I'm going to get thrown into some abyss by Mother Earth? Why is there a problem? Like, how come that's fine for you to think?
Right.
Or for Hindus to think that, you know, we're going to be reincarnated as a gnat because we're so ignorant, or, you know, whatever else you think is going to happen, you know, because of all these, like, why is that a problem?
Yeah.
You know, Jews think we're going to hell, or Muslims think we're going to hell. Every religion thinks they're the only one that's right.
Right.
But if a Christian thinks he's right, somehow we're evil.
Yeah, and you know what strikes me about that is, what do these people think, that we're born Christians? It's like, what, they think we're coming to the defense of it because we're earning some kind of points. We've got some ulterior motive to say we've got to win. You know, we've got to win more points for Christianity. We also, too, we're converts.
But what they say is we shouldn't, this is where, because I recently had this argument, is we should not have chosen to convert to this religion because it's so narrow. And I said, look, I didn't come into this and go, oh, well, let me pick, I'm going through the book, looking at the catalog.
Let's find the most narrow one.
Look, this one you get a shiny blue medal to wear, this one you get red, I'm going to take this one because this is going to be the most fun. My friends will hate me, you know, so-and-so is going to get really angry at me. Oh, yeah, this is the one
Yes.
I want. As opposed to going to, oh, I'll take the one where I get to put the little pretty rocks on my head, and I know nobody's ever going to think bad about me.
Right.
Everybody's going to love me. You know,
Right,
I mean, be serious.
Yeah.
Why would anybody choose to be a Christian
Yeah.
unless you are absolutely convicted in your heart that it's true?
The problem is we live in an age where the religion of society is political correctness.